Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to the NoDQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for September 16th, 2019. A very noteworthy show to discuss tonight. So before I get started, I would like to ask everybody if you could please take a moment of your time, go on Facebook, Twitter, and post a link to this video. Also, maybe text a friend, call a friend. Let them know that I'm live. NoDQ's live recap of WWE RAW is underway. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started with things. We kicked off Raw with the Universal Champion Seth Rollins. He talked about his victory over Braun Strowman. He even mentioned how he had to pull into his bag of tricks to defeat Strowman. It took 4 stops and then the Triple H pedigree to beat Braun Strowman. Rollins gave a shout out to the game Triple H. Then he brought up the Bray Wyatt attack from the end of the show, and this led to a Firefly Funhouse segment, the first of several on this show. We had the Rambling Rabbit advising Seth to run, but then Bray Wyatt talked about how Rollins has made a lot of mistakes and friends forgive. However, friends do not forget. And then Wyatt said that he might have a little bit more to say to Seth Rollins later on in the evening on Monday Night Raw. Then he waved happily and said, "See ya in hell." Then we had the Raw preview graphics come up for the matches on the show, only the graphics were upside down. Now, when this was happening, people were like, what's going on here? Is this a botch? Did something screw up? Turns out it was not a botch, and I'll get to that later in the review. We had Braun Strowman showing up backstage saying that the next person he encounters is going to get these hands. By the way, interesting stat about Braun Strowman that was posted on NoDQ.com. Braun Strowman has been in 6 pay-per-view matches for the Universal Championship, and he has been unsuccessful in all 6 of them. Just throwing that out there. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening, says, "Is the Rambling Rabbit more over than EC3? Well, duh. Pretty much the entire Firefly Funhouse crew, I would say, is more over than EC3. We had Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler come out along with the Revival to have a championship celebration summit. Bobby Roode said that nobody could believe that him and Ziggler were a tag team, and now take a look at them. Just look at them. Braun Strowman came out, of course, and was vowing to take out somebody. Somebody was going to get those hands. We had Strowman pretty much lay out both tag teams. He did the Strowman bum rush to everyone, although he pretty much missed Scott Dawson. Basically, the wind knocked over Dawson. Go ahead and look up the clip on YouTube or Twitter. And Bobby Roode quickly ran away. Bobby Roode was really the only one that was unscathed by the Monster Among Men. And made sense because Bobby Roode was in the main event against Seth Rollins. So naturally, you would like to protect the guy as much as possible. Also, he did defeat the WWE Universal Champion on the pay-per-view. Drake's son with a $5 super chat. So congratulations to Drake's son. He is the new reigning and defending NoDQ super chat champion via the R-Truth roll-up. How about that? 24/7 title, NoDQ super chat title. Tic Tat Tat needs to win the super chat championship at some point. There, I saved myself. And Drake's son says, if The Fiend loses at Hell in the Cell, I don't see where Bray goes from here. I think we're all pretty much in agreement with that. Bray Wyatt has to win the title. He is so hot right now. I think him losing would just be a death blow to the character. Now, of course, the argument is that he's in the title match too soon, which I also agree with, but Now that it's happening, I think WWE just has to go with it. You know, you look back to 2012 when Ryback was red hot, and then WWE arguably put him in that Hell in the Cell match with CM Punk way too soon. Ryback ended up losing the match, and it just stalled his momentum big time. So yeah, I think Bray has to win. My man, the great Hank Schrader on the shitter, says WWE doesn't do mistakes. Hail to the goddess. Well, thank you for that, Hank Schrader on the shitter. I appreciate it. Next up, we had the OC versus Cedric Alexander and the War Raiders, or whatever they're called, the Viking Raiders. I just like to call them the War Raiders. 6-man tag team action. Ivar did this big jump off the top rope onto the OC, took out his partner in the process, and in the ring, AJ Styles once again pinned Cedric Alexander with the phenomenal forearm. For those of you wondering why I pronounce his name like that, Alexander, I just keep trying to say it the way Alicia Fox would. Anyways, after the match, we had AJ Styles, for good measure, take out Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander with the top rope Styles clash, and AJ Styles was standing in the ring as the last person standing. Then we had a segment that was recorded earlier in the day of R-Truth and Carmella talking about the University of Tennessee, and that's when we had Glenn Jacobs. That's right, the mayor of Knox County. This week's Raw was Knoxville, Tennessee, so naturally you had to have the mayor make a guest appearance. R-Truth was like, I know who you are. You're Magic Johnson. And then we had Glenn Jacobs talk about how his limousine was ready to go. He wanted to give R-Truth a tour of Knoxville. And that was the end of this first segment. We had more to come, so stay tuned. We had the King of the Ring finals. We had Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable. Really good match here. I mean, I thought this was a great final match of the King of the Ring tournament. Baron Corbin was getting a lot of heat. He was just trash talking, yelling out that Gable has no chance. Back and forth here. I mean, Corbin was dominating a lot of it, but then Gable made his comeback, did the big German suplex for the near fall, missed the moonsault, but then got the ankle lock, and Corbin almost tapped out, but finally got to the ropes. And then eventually Corbin hit a really cool looking end of days. I mean, I love the sequence that led to the end of days. I thought that looked really nice. Corbin is your new King of the Ring. And I know a lot of people are not happy about Corbin winning. And I would have gone with Andrade. I think Andrade would have been a better choice just to give him a renewed push. And, you know, Corbin's had his push and whatnot, but hey, I guess Vince McMahon is still very high on the guy. And to be fair, Corbin earned it. Corbin put on some great performances in this tournament. When he just goes in there and wrestles, he can go. Corbin can definitely go. He's had a lot of really solid matches in WWE. So I'm fine with Corbin winning. I think it's better for a heel to win King of the Ring anyways. So if it wasn't going to be Andrade, then Corbin's the guy. We'll see where it goes. I'm fine with Corbin winning King of the Ring. Although, what does it mean? Is he going to challenge Seth Rollins again? Or maybe he's going to go to SmackDown and face Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. I mean, I hope that's the plan. Corbin goes back to SmackDown, because I really don't see what Corbin does on Raw. Like, I mean, if Bray Wyatt's going to win the title, you really can't do that. So I'm thinking Kofi needs a new challenger. Baron Corbin gets drafted to SmackDown. And he is having his coronation, his celebration victory segment on SmackDown. So maybe that'll be a setup for a possible feud with Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. And quite frankly, I would not even mind Corbin beating Kofi to win the title at this point. I'm just so over Kofi. I don't care who wins it at this point. ZOMG Ruler with a $5 super chat. So congratulations to ZOMG Ruler, new No DQ super chat champion. He says, I have returned and am now a 15-time champion. 2 claps and Ric Flair for that. Woo! Aaron, do WWE acknowledge Jacobs and Kane are the same person? If he returns as Kane, will they acknowledge it? Well, I think WWE knows that everybody knows Glenn Jacobs and Kane are the same person. I mean, if you saw corporate Kane, you can obviously see it's the same guy. So I don't think WWE is really thinking that people don't realize that Glenn Jacobs and Kane are one and the same. Thank you for that super chat. Drake's son with a $2 super chat says, should Balor join the OC when he returns? No, I don't think so. I think when Balor returns, he should become the Demon again. The Fiend versus the Demon for the Universal Championship, I think, is a money match, and I think you really got to go with it. Since Balor lost to Bray at SummerSlam, you have Balor come back and maybe have that match at WrestleMania. I think that would be a really intriguing match if you build up both guys, and the Demon hasn't been losing. So you build up Bray Wyatt, you build up Finn Balor. To me, that could be a WrestleMania main event. Nico with a $2 super chat says, this is for bringing back NoDQ CAW. Thank you. Well, thank you, Nico, for watching and continuing to support. Yes, NoDQ CAW is back. We are doing the 2019 NoDQ CAW Cup. Commentary by Wade Needham and Bobby Spade. Shout out to ringscoops.com for making NoDQ CAW's comeback possible. And this Friday, another match. We got Luigi. Everybody's been waiting to see Luigi again. Luigi versus 6-Star Dave, who apparently has been studying the art of Japanese wrestling, the work rate, the 6-star matches that you can only see in Japan. 6-Star Dave, will he be the one to outmaneuver Luigi? Find out this Friday on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. So next up, we had the Street Profits do the Maria Kanellis gender reveal party. And of course, for those of you paying attention, this whole Maria storyline has been Paul Heyman's thing. I know people joke about Vince Russo, but this is Paul Heyman. This is all Paul Heyman. This is his deal. Mike and Maria were on Raw, and Maria revealed that it is, in fact, a boy. However, the father is not Mike Kanellis, but rather Ricochet. That's right. She pointed to Ricochet, said he was the father. Mike Kanellis got angry and challenged Ricochet to a match. And then we had the Street Profits joking about maybe one of them was the daddy, and they were worried about it for a second, that Maria was going to call them out. And then they started talking about different types of matches, baby on a pole, Maria on a pole, which again, I think these references got people thinking this is something that Vince Russo would come up with, but it was in fact Paul Heyman. And according to ProWrestlingSheet.com, Paul Heyman was in charge of this week's show. Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, and Triple H were reportedly not at Raw this week. So if you loved Raw, if you hated Raw, Paul Heyman was apparently the guy that put this show together. And without giving my letter grade, I enjoyed Raw this week. I know it was very polarizing. I saw some of the responses on Twitter. Some people are hating this Maria stuff. I find it entertaining personally, and I'll talk more about my overall thoughts on Raw here in a few minutes, but I enjoyed this whole Maria thing. You know, Mike Kanellis, people were saying the guy's buried, yada, 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 but hey, I mean, the guy is at least getting a storyline here. We had Ricochet quickly defeat Mike Kanellis with the recoil. And then we had another Firefly Funhouse segment. Bray Wyatt said it's time to look for some more friends. And then we saw the wall with all the pictures of his victims, which included Mick Foley and so on and so forth, all the legends that he's taken out so far. Tommy, my man Tommy here with the $2 super chat says, Happy Kyle Day. Kyle is number one. Well, speaking of happy days, guess who's back? Back again. It's a little bit of Radio Rusev. All we hear is Radio Rusev. Radio Rusev. Because Maria came out and said that, you guessed it, Ricochet is not the father. I know this sounds like Jerry Springer now, but Maria said she tried to motivate Mike to fight for her honor by saying that Ricochet was the father, and he blew it. He let her down. He wasn't man enough to beat Ricochet. So then she came out and said that the real father is this man, and that's when Rusev came out. Handsome Rusev is back. He's got his Freddie Mercury mustache. The game is on. 100 with a $2 super chat says, Rusev return was awesome. Rusev looked fit. And Curtis Butler says Freddie Mercury is rolling over in his grave. We had Rusev come out and pretty much just destroy Mike Kanellis. Mike tried to run away and ended up tripping on the steel steps. Rusev picked up the victory with the accolade. As the game is on, mentioned Rusev looked in great shape. I know some people were like, this is such a waste of bringing back Rusev, but hey, I'm just glad to see the Bulgarian brute back. Handsome Rusev, he's back. Rusev Day finally returns to WWE. Kayfabe Candy Ass is like another segment bites the dust. Ouch. Savage line of the night. And More Fave says might be the stupidest angle yet. And Chris May says Lana must be mad. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, I feel bad for Mike Kanellis, only on TV to be mega buried. See, again, at least he's on TV. At least he's got a storyline going on. Not everybody can be a main event guy. And Mike Kanellis went from never being on TV or being on 205 Live, which doesn't really count, sorry guys, to actually being on Raw and being in a storyline. Tommy with the $2 super chat says, The Fiend to take out Rift Aronson. Thoughts? Yes, Rift Aronson needs to go. You guys saw last week that mysterious paranormal activity that gave me a bump on the noggin. Bray Wyatt, if you're watching this, probably not, but if you're watching, please take care of Rift Aronson for me. I would very much appreciate it. So moving on here, we had another segment with Kane and R-Truth. Kane brought, or not Kane, Glenn Jacobs, I should say. Glenn Jacobs with R-Truth in the Tennessee Volunteers football stadium. And R-Truth thought, of course, that the Volunteers were from the Salvation Army. And then R-Truth also referred to Glenn Jacobs as the president instead of the mayor. Then we had Glenn Jacobs bring out a police officer who R-Truth referred to as RoboCop. However, this wasn't just a police officer. This was a referee. R-Truth started to run away, but of course, like an idiot, he ran into the Tennessee Volunteers pole, and that's when Glenn Jacobs rolled up R-Truth to become the new 24/7 champion and was yelling, I'm the new 24/7 champion, I still got it, and then took off, and that was the end of the segment. Psycho Jet Black said, is WWE doing this Rusev and Maria storyline to get back at Lana for ruining the Dolph Ziggler Summer Race storyline? Also, is Jinder Mahal more over than EC3? Well, see, I think Maria in the storyline was just saying that to mess with Mike, you know. I'm guessing in the storyline she is carrying Mike's baby, and she just says these things to try and get him to be a man. Be a man, Mike. Come on, don't be scared. And as far as Jinder Mahal being more over than EC3, Jinder Mahal was WWE champion for what, like 8 months? So, yeah, more over than EC3. Not saying much, but yeah, he was. Shanti is more over than EC3. Tommy with the $2 super chat says, imagine if Uncle Dave M becomes the 24/7 champion. Well, maybe he'll become the No DQ CAW champion, 6-star Dave. You have to watch No DQ CAW this week to see if he can defeat Luigi. Moving on here. By the way, I really did enjoy the Glenn Jacobs R-Truth stuff. I thought that was a clever way to get him on the show, so I liked it. We had Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro. Cesaro did a pre-match promo saying that Rey should have listened to his son, stayed retired, or should have not listened to his son, should have stayed retired. Rey Mysterio ended up picking up the victory. Pretty good match here between these two. I mean, I think it would be very difficult for these guys to have a bad match against each other. Rey Mysterio continues to pick up his momentum. Mr. Anderson thinks that Cesaro should just go to NXT, and maybe he will. I could definitely see that as a possibility. Seems like Rusev's, or not Rusev. Why do I have Rusev on the brain? Cesaro just is basically there to put over other guys at this point. I say this every week, but I'm still hoping we get Sheamus back and we get the Bar going again. I just thought that they were a good team, and Cesaro's pretty lost without Sheamus. The two of them, I thought they worked really well as a team. We had another Firefly Funhouse segment with Bray Wyatt just smiling, and then, you know, the Fiend appeared on the screen, and Bray just started to lose his smile. Like Shawn Michaels, he was losing his smile. Then we had the AOPP do a video package. So yes, AOP getting a renewed push, AOPP. Authors of Pain push, AOPP. They started talking in Spanish, I believe. Might have been a different language, but I think it was Spanish. I'm not even sure. They were talking about how everyone has been complaining about AOP hurting them in the ring, and nobody apparently wants to fight the Authors of Pain. And they basically said they're looking for someone to pick a fight with them. Actually, they did not say that, but it was basically the same thing. I mean, this was like the Aleister Black promo, pretty much the same thing, where they have nobody to face and they're calling out somebody to face them. They said nobody is hard enough to face them, yada, yada, yada. Oh, they were speaking in Samoan. Wow, I was way off. To quote Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. Let's see here. So Mike B with a $5 super chat says, last donation week or two. I've been spending a lot on Amazon lately, so I will have willpower and save money. Champ is the No DQ Bear. All right, well, congratulations to the No DQ Bear. Via the Bear Hug is the new reigning and defending No DQ Super Chat champion of the entire No DQ galaxy. All right, moving on here. I don't know why I thought it was Spanish. That just goes to show how out of the loop I am. I mean, I was pretty much just paying attention to the subtitles, and I wasn't really even paying attention to what dialect they were talking in. So, Curtis Butler says, I saw them in Breaking Bad, much smaller back then. They should just do that. And Hank Schrader on the Shitter even says here, with a $2 super chat, he says, AOP reminds me of the twins from Breaking Bad. They might as well run with it. They might as well be like those guys, but the thing is, the twins never really talked much on Breaking Bad. They did a little bit, but not much. Maybe we could even have them set something on fire and create some kind of explosion as they're walking away, taking a drag from a cigarette. Ken, terminated by Google, with a $5 super chat, says he raises the No DQ Bear's hand, but knocks him out, and then flying headbutt. Sorry, Mike B, this is for Harley, who is also an 8-time champion, RIP Mr. Race. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Harley Race, 8-time champion, and now is the No DQ Super Chat champion of the world. Congratulations to the late great Harley Race. Who's gonna beat the spirit of Harley Race to win the title now? That remains to be seen. Next up, we had a tag team match, players. We had Bayley and Sasha Banks versus the WWE Tag Team Women's Champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Nikki had a good showing here. She almost beat Bayley with the neck breaker, but then Sasha Banks made the save, and then Sasha tapped out Nikki with the Banks statement. One thing I don't understand is, why does Michael Cole always say that somebody has no choice but to tap out? Don't they have the choice to pass out? Like, they don't have to tap out. They could just pass out and the referee would end the match. You don't have to give up. But Michael Cole says that every single match, that this person had no choice but to tap out. Anyways, Sasha Banks went for a steel chair. She was going to do some more damage. But then we had Becky Lynch come out with a steel chair. And then Bayley got a steel chair. Everybody's got a steel chair. Then all of a sudden, Charlotte came out. And this was really weird because Charlotte came out there and she was wearing heels. And she almost tripped walking down the ramp. She was trying to keep her balance and somehow managed to hit a big boot with her heel to Bayley. Poor Bayley. She couldn't even take out Charlotte, who was struggling to walk down the ramp on heels. Wow. But anyways, Charlotte made the save, and then Becky got a chair shot on Sasha Banks, and that was the end of the segment. Mark Matthews with a $5 super chat. So Mark Matthews defeats the spirit of Harley Race, and he says he renames the title to the Super Cat title and gives it to the Cats. I would pick up Casey, but he's down there. He's sleeping. He's cozy right now, so I'm not going to bother him. Casey, congratulations. You and Sassy are now the Super Cat champions of the world. We had a backstage promo from Sasha Banks. She said that, again, she's the reason for the success of the women's division. She started it, yada, yada, yada. And then she challenged Becky to a rematch at Hell in the Cell and then said, "Your move, bitch." Then we had another promo from Becky, who accepted the challenge. However, she said she's interested in destroying Sasha Banks inside Hell in a Cell. So it is official. Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It will be Sasha Banks challenging Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. Then we had another segment with R-Truth and the President Kane, or Glenn Jacobs. I keep calling him Kane. Glenn Jacobs. R-Truth was hiding on top of the limo, and as Glenn got out of the limo, R-Truth rolled him up, the old roll-up, to reclaim the championship. Glenn started to have that demon come out. He grabbed Truth by the throat, was going to choke slam the man, but then Truth talked him out of it, and the two of them made peace because Glenn Jacobs is a diplomat, and that's what he's all about now, making peace. All he was saying was give peace a chance. And then we had Lacey Evans defeating Dana Brooke, who got her first appearance on Raw in quite some time, although it was in a losing effort. Lacey defeated Dana with the sharpshooter, which was sending a message to Natalya. I guess that means the Lacey Evans-Natalya match will take place at some point. The rubber match, maybe the Hell in a Cell kickoff. We did get a big plug for NXT, and actually WWE did a lot of plugs on this show. I mean, almost every other commercial, I feel like, there was some kind of reference to NXT or a commercial. They plugged the Velveteen Dream versus Roderick Strong match. I mean, they really went hard on selling this NXT debut on the USA Network, which, by the way, I will be doing a live NoDQ stream. Tonight was the second night in a row. Last night we had Night of Champions, Clash of Champions, whatever. Tomorrow night is SmackDown Live. I'll be live streaming again. And then Wednesday night, I will be live streaming with my thoughts on the first ever 2-hour NXT, first hour on the USA Network, second hour on the WWE Network. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Again, if you can just take a minute of your time, please share this video on Facebook, Twitter, tell a friend, anybody you know who watches wrestling, anybody, even a casual fan, have them check out this video. And again, I very much appreciate you guys doing that and spreading the word. Best way you can help out the channel, just tell a friend. All right, so moving on here to the main event of the evening. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Roode. And again, Bobby Roode is the guy that Paul Heyman is very high on, and makes sense considering the fact that Heyman put this show together. We had Dolph Ziggler at ringside. Seth Rollins was on the verge of picking up the victory with the curb stomp when Ziggler jumped in the ring, which caused a disqualification. We had the OC come out. It was 5-on-1 when all of a sudden the music hits. It's gotta be Kane. The Demon Kane comes out. Kane cleans house. He chokeslams everybody. But then the lights go out and Bray Wyatt appears. He sneaks up behind Kane. He takes out Kane with the mandible claw. And then he approaches Seth Rollins, who's lying in the corner. We have this very scary moment with Bray Wyatt staring at Seth Rollins. And then we had the close of the show with the Firefly Funhouse graphic. And this is when it was going all wacky. The screen went upside down. It started having the audio go in slow motion and in reverse. Very creepy effects here to end Monday Night Raw. Great ending to the show. I thought it was fantastic. I thought WWE utilized Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane, very well on this show, both with the R-Truth stuff and then at the end. So you got 2 for 1. You got both versions. You got Glenn Jacobs, Corporate Kane, and you got Demon Kane being used to elevate 2 guys. I loved it. I thought it was great stuff. And overall, I enjoyed Raw. I know some people didn't like it. They thought it was too goofy. I saw some people say they're tuning out. They're going to watch AEW. Hey, good for you. Go watch Orange Cassidy and get back to me. But yeah, I enjoyed this show. I thought Paul Heyman did a good job. And one thing that was very noticeable to me, I mean, there was more of an emphasis on sports entertainment than wrestling, which if you guys follow me, you know I'm a sports entertainment guy. But another thing was that there were fewer video packages, which I really appreciated. Like, we didn't get those long 2-3 minute video packages. You know, they did a brief recap of the stuff that happened at Clash of Champions, but there wasn't a whole lot of filler. You actually had content instead of just recaps, which I very much enjoyed. So I thought that was a big improvement. And we did get some good wrestling on the show. I thought the King of the Ring finals was really good. I thought Rey Mysterio and Cesaro was really good. So all in all, I enjoyed Raw. And there you go. So for those of you, again, that say I'm always negative, I'm always criticizing WWE, I'm always trying to put them down, I enjoyed the show. I give Raw a solid B this week. I thought it was a good show. Let's go ahead and see what you guys thought about Raw. Go ahead and give me your letter grade in the chat room. Mike B gives it a B+. Power Packers 90, who, you know, he's leaning towards that AEW side. He gives it a C-. Spin 401 says the ending was a B+. Joseph gives it a C+. Jeremy Dorset with an A-. Kev Dog B. Michael Wayne B-. CC Drink with a B+. Calvin Bowman with a B. D. Ross 2 with an A. More Faves with a D+, so he was not impressed. Curtis Butler B-. Mr. Anderson with a C. And Harley with an A-. Ed DX 162 with a B. And Great Tribulation with a B-. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, I win the title via the curb stomp and relinquish it to the American males. All right. American males. American males. Should AEW have a mid-card title, and is Vince Russo more over than EC3? I would not mind AEW having a mid-card title. I think that they should have the interactive title where the fans get to make the matches. But, you know, if they come up with something, that would be nice. Maybe even a trios championship, which WWE has not done yet. I still think they should do it. But I think at first they need to merge the titles and then consider adding another one. And yeah, Vince Russo, despite what he did to WCW, I gotta say, Vince Russo is more over than EC3. Poor EC3. I feel so bad for the guy. Even with Paul Heyman putting the show together, EC3 cannot find his place on the show. And more people giving their letter grades for all. Pretty good ratings overall. Zach gave it an A plus. Actually, he gave it a B plus and then an A plus. So I'm not sure which one he was going with. But yeah, so Raw was a good show, and I hope we get more of what we saw tonight. We'll see what happens next week. We'll see if Vince... I think the rating will really determine what's going to happen next. If this week's Raw goes up, then I could see Paul Heyman getting more influence. But if the number continues to decline, which very well could happen, then Vince is going to be like, I knew it, Paul Heyman's not cutting it. We got to go with something else. More big dog, damn it. More Roman Reigns on the show. Roman Reigns drafted back to Raw. Which is funny because I felt like the whole idea of Roman Reigns going to SmackDown was to boost the Fox thing. And at this point, I won't even be surprised if Roman gets drafted back to Raw, right when the Fox thing starts in the first place. It would just be silly. But that's enough of that. That's all I got to say about Raw. Again, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. I will be back tomorrow night to talk about SmackDown. And then Wednesday night, I will be giving my thoughts on the debut of NXT. NoDQ review will be delayed until later in the week. Should be up Friday or maybe even Thursday night. And then Friday will be the next match in the NoDQ CAW Cup. So make sure you guys check that out. Subscribe. Click on that notification bell to get your updates. And follow NoDQ on Twitter. NoDQ, DOTCOM. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you all